Welcome back. Annoying robocalls. They have become a regular part of our lives, but not by chance. So why can't they be stopped? That's the question.
Yeah, KV's Jay Wallace looked into the advancement of robocalls and how you can avoid them.
Press 1 now. There is an arrest warrant issued against your name and your identity.
Hello?
Debbie Bell gets two types of calls.
Hello?
From her family and from machines.
That phone would ring sometimes a half a dozen times.
Debbie doesn't fall for scams, but like many, she is simply tired of it.
It was just got to be a pain, and it's just a waste of time.
Since its creation in 2003, millions of people have signed up for the Do Not Call registry, hoping it would help. Think again.
When they first came out with that, it worked. What good are the Do Not Call registries?
Pat Beachy is right. The Do Not Call registry did work at one time, but it was created to block telemarketers in the United States. These calls we're talking about come from the internet, and most are fake.
I have like 40 blocked numbers. I have to erase some now so I can continue to block because they just get to be nuisances.
Same problem for Kristen Turkelson.
It always seems to happen at a really inopportune time.
Maybe it's happened to you too. The Federal Trade Commission says Americans are bombarded with more than 2.5 billion robocalls a month. In 2017, more than 7 million people on the Do Not Call registry filed a complaint with the Federal Communications Commission, almost double than 2 years ago.
Advances in technology have made these calls very easy for robocallers, illegal robocallers to make, and they've also made them very cheap.
Cheap and deceptive. So the FCC adopted new rules this last November, allowing phone companies to proactively block calls from fake numbers. So scammers smartened up, creating systems that can spoof a call by using real numbers from your area code. Sometimes your exact number, but coming from other countries.
They're often located outside of the reach of law enforcement. It's difficult to track them down and bring them to justice. We're calling on the phone companies to offer free, effective technology to automatically identify and block robocalls before they reach consumers.
But the level of protection varies from company to company. For example, AT&T does offer a free service, while Sprint makes you pay extra. And Verizon simply supports outside blocking systems. So what does the FCC say is the best way to handle robocalls?
Unless you know the number that's calling you, it's best to not answer the call. Just let it go to voicemail.
Think about that. The agency in charge of communication is telling us to avoid communication unless we know exactly who's calling us. Savannah Olson, who has received plenty of robocalls, she doesn't want to live that way.
We used to pick up the phone every time it rang or go to the door every time the doorbell rang.
But now?
It secludes us from our neighbors and from our friends and from people we might actually want to get to know.
For Olson and all these Austinites you've heard from, they say these interminable calls have changed who we are and how we act.
It has had a real negative impact on society.
Now, there could be hope for the future. The FCC is currently working on a technology that would verify every number in the world. So when a call comes in, you would get a form of a check mark letting you know that number is real. So what can you do right now? Well, sadly, the FCC is right. Don't pick up if you don't recognize the number, because when you do, your number can be marked and transferred to other robocall systems, meaning more calls. The FCC also says to keep your number to yourself. The more it is attached to accounts and websites, the more chances systems have to sell your digits to robocallers. There are also some effective third-party apps and systems you can use to assuage this issue. We have those included with this story on our website, kview.com.
That was so informative.
Good stuff.
I loved it. A lot of us deal with robocalls, and now we have at least some advice on what to do about them.
And it's so true. Sometimes the numbers are very similar to your own.
Right. to families and friends.